Are you confused by shotgun shells? We love shotguns because they're super versatile, but it means there's a lot of ammo and a lot of numbers and they can be pretty confusing. You can load slugs, buckshot, birdshot, all kinds of stuff in there. You've got gauge, you've got length, you've got dram equivalent, which is an old measurement of how powerful it is. Sometimes you'll see velocity. You've got the payload measured in ounces, and you've got the shot size. The smaller the number, the bigger the shot. That means there's a lot of options that can get really confusing. So when you're looking at the package, when you're looking at the shell, that's what those numbers mean. Then you can research, what do I actually need for what I'm hunting or what sort of sport shooting I'm doing? There's a few numbers that you need to pay attention to. First, gauge. That's the diameter of your bore. Length. So this length measurement is the length of the shotgun shell itself. So shotgun shells, once you shoot them, you'll see this crimp on the end expands and actually makes the shotgun shell a little bit longer. The length we're talking about here is the length of the shotgun shell when it's packaged from the factory, when it's closed before it's been shot. So 2 3/4 inch, that's what's listed on here. If you measure this out, it's a 2 3/4 inch shell, will fit in any gun 2 3/4 inches or more in chamber length. The next measurement that we need to look at is not quite as important as those first two. Those first two determine compatibility in your gun. The next one varies a little bit. Sometimes you'll see dram or DR equivalent, and sometimes you'll see velocity. These are basically power measurements. How powerful is this shell? How much powder in it? How hot is the shell loaded? So dram equivalent comes from the black powder days. When shotgun shells were loaded with black powder, that's just a measurement of how powerful, how much energy is coming out of that shell. Most modern shells now use velocity. So this is saying in an average gun, this box of ammo, this box of shotgun shells will run about 1,200 feet per second, give or take, depending on your barrel length. So that's just what that means. These are gonna work in your shotgun either way, but it helps you know what to expect. This is really important for clay shooting and wing shooting in general, because the speed of your projectiles, the speed of your pattern, helps you determine how much lead you need to have. Faster loads don't require quite as much lead. So if you're really used to practicing with a certain velocity, you wanna stick with that. The next number that you need to consider is the payload. So that is the physical mass of the projectile or clump of projectiles in the shotgun shell. So this is a slug. That's a 1 ounce slug in here, and you'll see 1 ounce printed on the shell. Not just true for slugs, also true for buckshot and for birdshot. So you'll see on here, I've got 1 ounce of shot, also 1 ounce of shot. Here in my 20 gauge, I've got also 1 ounce and a heavy load. So on the payload measurement, 1 ounce is very common for 12 gauge, 7/8 ounce is very common for 20 gauge. Sometimes you'll see a little bit heavier, a little bit lighter. Sometimes turkey loads will have over 2 ounces, especially if they're tungsten shells. The next measurement that you need to be aware of is shot size. This one can be a little bit confusing because the numbers are backwards of what most people assume. The lower the number, the bigger the shot size. There are also 2 shot size measurements. There is buckshot and birdshot. So number 4 buck is not the same as number 4 birdshot. So you have a measurement of buckshot starting with 0, 00, or double aught. That's what this is. And sometimes you'll even see on buckshot, this says 9 pellets. That's not always standard. Sometimes you'll see that, sometimes not. It's just telling you that this has 9 pellets of double aught buck. Buckshot can then go 1, 2, up to 4. And then you get into birdshot sizes. And you'll see birdshot sizes starting really low, like BB, T, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 6, which is this, great for quail hunting, 7.5, great for dove hunting. You'll even see all the way up to 8, which is great for skeet shooting. Gives you a whole lot of very, very small pellets. So the higher the number, the smaller the shot size. And we can get into that in more depth in another video later. Shotgun shells used to be a little bit standardized on color. Red meant 12 gauge, yellow meant 20 gauge, black meant 16 gauge. Now, brands follow their logo colors, and brands do whatever the heck they want. So you might see some purple 12 gauge or some green 16 gauge. Most of the rules don't matter anymore, except for the fact that 20 gauge is always yellow. The reason 20 gauge is always yellow is a 20 gauge will almost fit in a 12 gauge. So if you're shooting 12 gauge and you've got a pocket full of red shells, it's really important to look for that yellow shell. It sounds the alarm, hey, don't put this in your gun if you're running 12 gauge. Other than that, the colors are not super standardized. Go back to the box, go back to the number printed on the shell to look at what gauge you need and what gauge you're running. One other thing that you'll need to consider is the material of your shot. So nationwide, if you are hunting waterfowl, you will be required to use non-toxic shot. Non-toxic basically just means lead-free. You're hunting in marshes where a bunch of wildlife live, where birds feed. You're required to use non-toxic shot like steel, tungsten, or bismuth. In most other applications, it's not a huge consideration. A lot of times people actually prefer lead shot because it has a higher density, it hits a little harder, it'll break a clay better, it'll kill a dove a little bit better. But for waterfowl considerations, always use non-toxic shot like steel, tungsten, or bismuth. Hope that helps.